In this video, we will be replacing the fuel pump in this 2003 Toyota Camry. The first step is fuel pressure relief. We will begin by removing the gas cap to release any pressure inside the gas tank. In the engine bay, we want to locate our relay and fuse box. And we will be removing the relay labeled C/OPN. We're then going to crank the engine for a short while. This should relieve any remaining pressure in the lines. After that, we can disconnect the cable from the negative terminal of the battery. And at this point, the fuel system pressure is relieved and we are ready to work on our vehicle. We then want to shift our focus to the back seat, and pulling up firmly on either seat, we can dislodge the seat from the retaining clips. And as we slide that seat out, we can work the seat belts through the opening. And if we take a look with the back seat cushion removed, we can clearly see our fuel pump location. We can also see a wiring harness running to that fuel pump. Using a standard head screwdriver, putty knife, or some type of a trim removal tool, we very carefully want to work that service cover off to gain access to the actual pump. And following that wiring harness, that does lead to our connection point. Depressing the tab and wiggling our connector will release that. And we can then set that out of the way as best as we can. And then I have quite a bit of debris on top of this, so using some compressed air, some rags, and some Amsoil metal protector, I can clean this as best as I can. Now, the Amsoil metal protector can be used as an electrical cleaner, so I'm not concerned about that getting into the electrical connection. Next, we have our fuel line connection. This is held in by a small plastic retainer. We can very carefully work that back and off, and then we can pull out our fuel line. Now, there will be some residual gasoline, just something to make note of. We then have a series of 8mm screws that we need to remove. And we'll hit it one more time with compressed air before we remove this. And then we can pry up that cover, giving us access to our actual pump. We can then work that pump out. And a real quick inspection inside just to make sure that there are no major problems. And I'm just going to very loosely cover this up just to reduce the amount of fuel that evaporates while I'm switching this pump out. And I always like to compare my new unit with my old unit. Now, I am replacing this as one entire entity because this is 20 years old. It's good just to get rid of all the old parts and start fresh. I do have just a little bit of assembly with my gasket and my float. We can then install that new unit in place. Reinstall our cover with our 8mm bolts. Now, we do have a couple alignment tabs to make sure that you install it in the correct orientation. And we can come back and snug those down. And I always like to jump around a little bit. After that, we have reinstallation of the fuel line with our retaining clip. And the wiring harness. And we can reseat that service cover. Then comes the back seat, making sure to feed the seat belts through the seat belt holes. Close the fuel cap. Replace our relay. Reinstall our battery cable and take it for a test drive. Now it might turn over a couple times before it starts. We did relieve pressure off the entire line as well as install a new pump, so it needs to get filled back up.